Live, go live.
It's 12 noon on the East Coast, 9 a.m. on the West.
And this is Reprint.
This isn't breaking headlines. This is a second look with context added for perspective.
This is Reprint, edited after the headlines.
It's 12 noon on the East Coast, 9 a.m. on the West.
And this is Reprint.
This isn't breaking headlines. This is a second look with context added for perspective.
This is Reprint, edited after the headlines.
All right.
Oh, okay. Double.
Well, two times twice is nice. It is good morning on the West Coast, good afternoon on the East Coast. This is the Reprint with Crystal
Yes.
George Jennings and Victor Flavius. Good morning, Victor.
Good morning, Crystal. We had a double. We are back. We are here.
Nice. It's okay because we are back. Oh my God, it feels good. It feels good to be.
Yeah.
We're back and we're in a better. We're in a better space. So I love that. Welcome to the Reprint, you guys. It is Wednesday. We are winding down with National Women's History Month, but that's okay. We've had an amazing month so far here on the Reprint and at Lenox and Parker. If you guys are interested in seeing any of the amazing content that we've been doing for National Women's History Month, please go over and visit LenoxandParker.com. We actually are just rolling out our honoring the program that we do to honor women in our community. It is called The Table That She Built. And the first honoree goes live today, which is Cicely Gay with Black Lives Matter. Again, you can look at the website. We have 6 amazing women leading the charge, 6 iconic women leading the charge this year. But this is something that we look to expand and to continue to grow. But we are super excited to do that. And then we also have some more information coming out. We're rolling out some more content on imperfect women. It's just all about women this month. And we really are. I think we've had some great content. I'm really proud of what we've done this month.
Yeah, me too. I concur with that one. Yeah, we worked hard. We've done a lot. And I mean, I'm loving our audience. Good morning to everybody on here. Haitian Empress, good morning to you. Pam, good morning to you. Yeah, this is great. I love it. I love our little community we're building right now. The content, honoring the different women that we're gonna be doing the next couple of days as we end the month of March and get into April. Can you believe we headed to April already? Like April is like summer's almost here. What are we doing? What's this about? Hey, Latasha. Yeah.
Hey, Tasha, Haitian Empress, you guys. My Rottweiler.
What's the Rottweiler doing there?
Shadow. It's the Shadow. Like everybody that watches, they know Sugar Pie. Shadow is.
Yes, Shadow was.
Shadow was in the house this morning, but he is not familiar with podcast behavior. So it is Shadow. It is my Rottweiler. One of my Rottweilers. He just made an impromptu.
Hey, Edna, what's up?
Yeah. And I'm literally sitting down and Shadow's as tall as I am. Good morning, Edna. But yeah, today we are super excited. I am so sorry. El Tasha's like, is that a dog? Like, yes, it is.
Yes, a dog.
It is a Rottweiler, and he is just learning to have. Mommy has to do podcasts, and you have to be good and not be all up on mom. Right? Okay, all right. So anyway, yeah, I am actually getting ready to fly out to LA. And I'm sure you guys are aware of all the drama that has been happening at the airports and everything like that. But I just want to really commend Delta. Can we give a hand clap for Delta right now? Because Delta in response to all the drama with the that's happening in travel because of the government Having some areas of shut down, people are not making money. A lot of the airport workers are, either not getting paid or it's just a lot happening. But Delta has decided to make a pointed statement this week, not just with words, but with their policy. And they are suspending special services for Congress members until this is resolved. And I just think that is just kudos to Delta. I'm a big Delta fan. I don't like taking any other airline aside from Delta. But I love the fact that they've acted in this manner. This is great PR for them. Among the services being suspended are airport escorts and so-called red coat services, the dedicated flight assistance Delta has historically offered to lawmakers. The Capitol Desk reservations line, however, will remain open, and members of Congress will now be treated like any other passenger based on their Sky Miles loyalty status. I love this, Victor. I love it. The partial government shutdown, like I talked about, has been crawling. This is now the second month and is causing huge issues with travel. So I love the way that they have, dealt with this, and because it's really just making everybody the same. And maybe this will influence Congress to come to some, resolutions when their issues are threatened as well.
I hope so. I mean, right now they're have the hearing going on, and it's not good that this is the third shutdown that has happened right now. Imagine this country, we have the quote unquote president who's supposed to be this top CEO person, but they can't balance the budget when it comes down to keeping people employed. And the people who actually work, these are people who are hanging out or extra. These are people who are checking security as people come through, checking bags and making sure that people are safe when we're flying. And they can't even keep those people around. And the people have to go to work and work for free. And I think this is like day 40 of the shutdown or something like that. And I mean, just imagine working for free. 40 days. I mean, that's you wouldn't get paid, and you missing
That's
3 paychecks.
Working for free in a stressful job.
Job, yeah.
People, because some of their coworkers have quit because they weren't getting paid. Now they're dealing with 2 and 3 times the amount of work, and people are very, when people are traveling, that could be a very stressful job on a regular day, I would assume, but specifically when you have a workload that is double or triple your workload. We know that in this is the Democrats and the Republicans in Congress unable to come to a resolution, which has caused this. And so I love the fact that Delta CEO Ed Bastian told CNBC he's outraged by the ongoing shutdown. He called it inexcusable that TSA agents and essential frontline workers are being used as political chips. The Democrats have pushed for votes that would split off funding for TSA and other agencies not responsible for immigration enforcement, but the Republicans have repeatedly blocked those efforts. Meanwhile, the U.S. Senate recently passed legislation authored by Senator John Cornyn that would prohibit preferential TSA screening access for members of Congress and require them to go through the same security process as the general public. So you guys do your job, come to an agreement.
Yeah.
And when you do your job, then you can go back to, because I do think their job is really important. But I also do think that anytime people don't have incentive, they are less likely to feel like they're pushed to come to some type of resolution to this.
I think the government workers, the Congress and Senate, they have pretty much, they're covered when it comes to medical and all sorts of other things. They get perks and they get benefits, and they're not bothered like the regular person. And if it was in a place where they had their benefits taken away or disrupted, I think they would be working harder to get it back on. I'm not saying that they don't care or they're not doing that.
Right.
I think that it would benefit both parties, both sides, Republican and Democrats, to come together to make it happen, because these are their constituents that they're supposed to be represented in the Congress. And it's just unfortunate. But also, I'm also a little tinfoil hat me sometimes. They're like, well, wait a minute, did this happen because they want to have boots on the ground here when it comes to the
I
ice?
yeah.
Yeah, ice agents. Would this be what the game was all along? Was to, hold back, hold back, hold back, and then we'll have ice in, dispersed. We saw on Monday, the first day boots came on the ground, a lady got arrested in San Francisco, Hispanic lady, and right in front of her daughter, and it was sad to see. But I don't know. I'm ready for it to change. I'm ready to change. But
I
here we
am.
are.
I am.
Here we-
People are asking, was this a genuine operational decision or a PR political statement by Delta? And I kind of think it was both. I think it was great PR by Delta. But I also think it's just I think that in addition to it being great publicity, I also think that they're looking out for their employees. And I think that, in situations like this, Delta has a responsibility to, number one, protect the people that allow them to provide great customer service to their
Yep.
customers. And so I see it as a dual situation where, yes, it is a good look publicly, but most importantly, it works for workplace morale when you know that your employer has your back. And I think this allows Delta to show their employees that they have their back.
Maybe they need to change the game. Maybe they need to do like what the sports people do and do a pool to hire the TSA workers. Maybe TSA needs to stand alone separately from government stuff. Maybe, when it comes, I know it's federal, but
Yeah.
maybe they need to have a separate budget. Like ICE has a separate budget. That doesn't even make sense. How does ICE have a separate budget from TSA when they're kind of doing the same thing, like protecting the borders, or and the borders that
Yeah.
transcend borders. There are flights coming in, international flights, and whatever. Yeah, I don't
That's
know.
interesting.
Crazy.
That's an interesting thing to think about. Could that be separate? I mean, all
It
of these
should
things
be.
work together. Yeah, it appears it should be, because what I know is that it should not be tampered with, or
Yeah, disrupted. Yeah,
not be vulnerable to any of this situation. But
yeah,
it's because they are essential workers. So I do want to just send love and prayer out to Tammy Bolds. Tammy is one of our most loyal listeners, and she says she's not feeling feeling well, but she's fighting through work. Tammy, we're just sending prayers and good energy your way, that you'll
yes.
start to feel better. And we thank you so much for the good energy that you always bring and share with us. And we just want to make sure that you all take a moment to send a prayer to Tammy, that she's able to feel better today, as she's at work feeling bad. And that's probably the worst place to be when you don't feel well.
I know. I know. I know. Prayers to
Hmm.
you. Prayers out to you, Tammy. Hope you feel better today.
Yeah. Moving on to from Delta, I had an opportunity to watch Jay-Z's interview. Very, very big interview. It's interesting because we talked about Jay-Z on Friday, and we talked a little bit about it on Monday. But we talked about it with Jamal, our bottom line Burke, that does our
Hmm.
sports analyst. And he was, on the cusp of knowing something big was happening. I had no idea that Jay-Z was about to do this cover story with GQ. We know that he doesn't talk very often, but when he does, it's very strategic, and there's a reason behind it. We mentioned the fact that he had changed his name, and he has the umlaut now above his name, and that was actually how he referred to himself during the Reasonable Doubt times. But he sat down with GQ editor Fraser Tharp, and I just want to give roses or give flowers to Fraser. He is an
Yeah, shout out.
amazing interviewer, and he just did a great job. I was fascinated the entire time listening to it. It is Jay-Z's most wide-ranging public conversation in years. Touched on the dismissal of the sexual assault lawsuit, his complicated feelings about the Kendrick versus Drake beef, Rock Nation's Super Bowl strategy, and whether a new album is coming. His headline quote says it all. And people were really talking about this yesterday online. He said, "We played enough defense. 2026 is all about offense." And he said that as he was speaking about the allegations against him, and the fact that he wasn't able to really
Mm.
address it address it last year. He had to just take it. He said that he had to tell his family, his wife, his and other members of his family, you know, that this is happening and there's nothing that we can do about it right now. And that was difficult for him. And so now he's saying that he's not just going to be, you know, defending himself. He's actually going to be speaking out. And he started with this interview. He also talked about the Drake Kendrick situation.
Yeah.
I'm interested, Victor, what did you think about that? Because basically he did acknowledge that he said, I feel like the old man wagging his finger, saying we shouldn't be doing this. But that's in essence what he said. Now, we know that Jay-Z had one of the most infamous beefs ever.
Nas, yeah.
You know, decades ago. But how did you feel about his response to the Kendrick and Drake beef?
How do I feel? Let me think for a second. Okay, so I feel that the response to the Kendrick and Drake beef, he responded well, as he should at his age. He's 56, I think it is. And I think it was appropriate for him to say what he said. You know, they say rap is a young man's sport, but we've seen this last year that a lot of our older statesmen, if you want to call it that, the Clips and, you know, Pharrell and, you know, Jay-Z now and all the other older acts, LL Cool J, put new music out and had charted and done pretty well. And what he said in the interview about he loves sparring and the music, but things are getting out of hand when it comes to talking about your kids or whoever. That's a older man looking back at his youth and analyzing it. You can say all that stuff, but it is what it is when it comes down to age. There's an age gap and there's also a technology gap. When Jay-Z came out with his first hit record, first hit album, it was 9/11. And we know what happened during 9/11. Technology wasn't where it was today. Today, everyone has phones in their hands. They wake up, they check their emails. Things are, we're a lot closer technology-wise than we were 20 years ago. And now Jay-Z is celebrating his 25th anniversary for his album and 30th anniversary for his album. So 30 years you've been doing it. So you can look back and say, you know, how he feels a certain way, but he's at the age where he's also not relatable in the sense of money and culture. You know, when you talk about buying Basquiat paintings and, you know, you're traveling here and there, and your wife is Beyonce, and you're doing these $400 million tours, and you're selling your house for 80. Like, you're not in the same relatable bracket. I'm not saying he's disconnected from the culture. I'm saying he's not relatable when it comes down to the everyday person coming out.
Struggle,
like the struggle, not just the struggle, but the new artists coming up. Because even if you have a lot of these, a lot of these recording artists are not wealthy. It's all a facade. You know, a lot of these recording artists rent their homes. A lot of celebrities, a lot of reality TV show people rent homes and cars and all sorts of stuff. And when it's all said and done, they're either broke or whatever the case is, because it's all a facade and it's not their money. But to make a long story short, I think what he said was appropriate for his age. I mean, you know, he's 56. So
it's hard not to. Yeah. It's hard not to speak from where you are, right? It's hard to look back. We can all say, well, I can look back, but you really can't, because like you said, there's just a generational gap. I appreciated, you know, problem that I saw with that conversation is, yes, I understand what he's saying. It especially when it involves children, but he and Nas were pretty lethal because it involved women. Women are always used to me as a caveat, you know, just used as a way for men to get back at each other. That has been since the beginning of time. But I do think for him to say that he did not pick a side is kind of, I don't believe that, because I think
it's political.
Smart. I think he did pick a side when he made Kendrick. Yes, he said Kendrick was having an amazing year. And he wanted to, you know, he wants to go. He has to do what's best for his situation. The NFL make the best decision, but I think when he made that decision, it definitely was picking a side. Now, I love seeing a little bit of the Jay-Z that we know, the Jay-Z from Mars Projects is still in there because he said, why would someone think that I'm trying to get back at Drake? I mean, I am Hove, like I'm Jay-Z, like that arrogance is still there.
He has to be.
He's still who he is.
He's Hove. That ain't never gonna change.
And I would say he said that. I don't like that. When I remember being uncomfortable with him using that term, I don't feel comfortable with him calling himself Jehovah.
Well, he didn't call himself that.
I don't feel comfortable with that.
But me either. I'm not calling another.
Yeah, I always kind of like. I remember when I saw that video as a kid, and I was like, H to the Izzo, V to the Izzo. What is he saying? And then I was like, is he calling himself Jehovah? Like, surely not. And Jay-Z and Beyonce and Destiny Shaw was in that video, just H to the Izzo. And I was like,
I mean, well, you got to think too, rap, a certain portion of rappers like the Wu-Tang and whatever, they call themselves gods. So, Rakim, the God MC, they call them. So, there's big gods and there's little gods, and so they, when you consider yourself a god,
I personally don't feel comfortable with it, but I get it. I understand where it comes from, and I think he's always going to have a clever way of approaching something. But outside of the Kendrick situation, he talks about the lawsuit, and I do appreciate him saying that he was not going to take a settlement, and I think that's why he knew the backlash was going to be what it was, because he refused to take a settlement. If you pay people off, it's a lot easier. It goes away. But he was like, I can't take a settlement. It's not in my DNA. I would die. I would die. If I settled to make things go away, I knew what was coming. I wasn't naive. He said he would literally have died. And I can appreciate that. If somebody accused me of something that I vehemently would never do, was totally outside of my character, because I think there is this unspoken feeling that when you settle, you are acknowledging some form of guilt.
In the public's eye, that's what it is. I mean, it's the same thing like in the public's eye when we see people go to court and Benjamin Crump shows up. They're like, oh, ambulance chaser. Oh, he's just trying to get money, or all they want to do is get money. People don't realize there's two sides of the law. There's criminal and then there's civil. And a lot of times the criminal cases, one, either there's something there or not, and it's harder to prove, or two, it takes longer to go through the process. So while you're in criminal court waiting to get some justice done, you're at home suffering, you don't have any money, bills are piling up, whatever. And in most cases, they say, okay, well, we'll do a civil suit and we'll do a criminal suit. And sometimes statute of limitations doesn't allow you to do a criminal suit. So what you have to do is you have to, what they call restitution. So they say, well, how can we make you whole again? Well, because I lost 2 years of work, I'm behind on all my stuff. This is how I need to be made whole. And your lawyer will address that, and he will get you to that point where you're like, okay, let's settle for this amount of money. And so people don't see that. All the public sees is, oh, he or she is trying to do a money grab, and a lot of times that's not the case. But in perception, that's what people think, and so yeah.
I agree. I definitely get all that, and I have worked with clients that I have suggested that they do settle just because their reputation could not take, and what they had at stake was too high to lose or to even allow the public to make a decision, right? And so I've said it's just best for business to settle, but I still respect the fact that he was like, I cannot do this. So I think my favorite part of the interview was him talking about his family. He mentioned that today he will fly across country for work and then make sure he flies back that night to pick up the kids from school. He talked about Blue and talked about her performing on stage with her mom. He said that he actually, kind of came in and kind of added a little bit of boundaries, put some boundaries in place, because after people responded to Blue the way they did, it kind of ignited a fire within her. And he said she would be out there every single number if she could, but he was like, this is too, this is a little bit too much. He just talked very much a lot of pride about his daughter. He said that Blue is a amazingly talented musician. She's a pianist and can play by ear, but wants to keep that side of herself, just wants to keep that as a hobby and not work. I mean, Blue is 15 years old now. Isn't that crazy?
15? Oh my goodness.
15 years
old. I'm curious to see what she turns out to be like, because I'm a little disappointed. I'm gonna say it. I'm a little disappointed in Will Smith's kids, Jaden and his sister Willow. A little disappointed. Not too much on Willow, but more on Jaden. And I'm gonna say not 100%. When I say disappointed, I mean I think with all they've been exposed to, I would like to have seen them do more, not musically, but just be different in a way. Like I'm not like
back because Jaden does a lot of community service.
No, I get that. Yeah,
he does a lot to do.
I get that. Yeah.
Back. Now, I don't necessarily agree with some of his how he expresses himself in certain ways.
That's pretty much what I'm talking about. Yeah. Like that side of it takes a little bit too much on the other side. Considering
the environment with which he was raised.
Yeah. No, yeah. I get it. And that's what I'm saying. I'm hoping that and I'm watching Ye's daughter come up too, and how she is. Yeah, she is how she is being influenced more on the other side than that. And again, it's not that I'm putting a what do you call it, a judgmental view on the kids. I'm just saying I would like to see a little bit more roundedness when it comes to, it's okay to be who you are, do what you want to do, and experiment and whatever the case is. But I think our culture needs a little bit more balance when it comes to less righteousness.
Yeah, I agree. But I think I would say this for Jay-Z and Beyonce. I appreciate them keeping Blue as a child for as long as they could. She's a teenager now and she's older, so it makes sense that she would kind of you see her kind of experiment with a little heel and things like that, and more makeup. But
Beyonce was in that way too.
Yeah, but
she was on Star Search.
Yeah, she was. But I'm just saying, like, they made sure that she was always presented as a child, is what I'm saying. Like, as far as her aesthetic, she didn't look too grown. There are some celebrities' children that we see them like in a full face of makeup at like 8. Like, I mean, it's really like, and it seemed like they really did work to protect her and to keep her and allow her to enjoy her childhood for as long as they could. Even with Rumi and Sir, Rumi is adorable. I think we all fell in love with her personality over Beyonce's last tour, just being super excited. But I think it takes a lot. For me, being around a lot of celebrities, it takes a lot to keep your children from becoming out, to keep them in a child's place. It takes a lot when you have that much access and influence and money, and there's very difficult. So the fact that they kept her in a space from what we've seen to where she looked like a 10-year-old. She looks like an 11-year-old. They wanted her to have some sense of normalcy, which you really can't have any sense of normalcy in Beyonce and Jay-Z's child. But still, I think they did the best they could, and I commend them for that, because that's not easy to do.
I got to mention the Harris family as well too. Atlanta's Harris family. They've kept their kids, pretty much, as best as they could under wraps. We know King gets a little crazy every so often, but the daughter, she has her, what's her name? Eris does a lot of,
He also has another. He has Zonique, and then
Yep. His kids are those two. I mean, T.I. and Tiny has done a great job raising their children. I've seen even the son with the guitar. I mean, it's amazing how. It's just amazing how talented they all are, across the board.
They
Guitar,
are.
rapping,
Yeah, I saw a post yesterday with Messiah playing the guitar while Devon rapped.
I saw that too. Yeah,
beautiful. I'm kind of partial because I've worked with them so much, and been around, and they live here in Atlanta. So I remember having King and Major in a kids fashion show when they were little bitty kids, and they were just, King was running around, Major was quiet. But I think that T.I. is T.I.'s kids have seen him grow up. They've seen him mature. And I also think that King has a lot of just his dad's fire, but we see that there's a love there. I think the way that they all came together to protect their
Yeah.
mom was beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, you're not gonna get 100% on anything for anyone. I mean, everyone has their places. I think Tiny and T.I. raised their kids great. And then of course you get to be 18, 19, 20, then they're adults. So you can't put that on the parents at that point. But you do the best to raise your kids. But when you live in the public's eye, it's a lot different than it is when you don't live in the public's eye. So, for a parent, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it is. It is a lot of pressure. And like I said, I think that, it's difficult. A lot of people don't understand how difficult it can be because people, not just you, people outside of the home are offering the children things, not disciplining them when they do something wrong because of who their parents are. So it could be kind of tricky, but I think they've done a great job. And I don't know, I've never been around Beyonce and Jay-Z's children, but T.I. and Tiny's children, we that's pretty normal when you're here in Atlanta and work in entertainment for them to be a part of it, a part of the conversation and there, like I said, we interact, we've actually interviewed King for the magazine when he was talking about he came up and had everybody standing on business. He felt like it was he did that, and he did revive that. So I love that. I love seeing the way their kids love each other, and there may be imperfections. There are with all families, but I do think they've done a great job of really making sure that they're kids that still connect with other people. They have compassion. Of course, they're spoiled. They're going to be spoiled. I mean, but they're it could be much different, and we won't name any names. But you know what? We actually have our guest is here today that we were excited about welcoming on Monday. We actually have him here with us today. So I want to take a moment. We are talking about the AI and technology. We have Justin Burns. He is the founder of Bistro and Studio Book AI. He's joining us today to talk a little bit about the fear that so many of us have when it comes to AI. A lot of us are wondering what is going on, how far can this go, and so many other questions. Please help us welcome Justin Burns to the Reprint.
Hey, welcome. Good to be here. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. We know that you're very busy, particularly now because there's so much going on with AI.
Going on.
Yeah, AI has become like part of our conversation every day. Like it's definitely something that people are concerned about. I've heard more people being a little bit hesitant to use it, people being afraid of what's going to happen. What is happening with our country? Are people going to be safe? There's a lot of people feeling like AI is going to be used to crowd them out of jobs. It's just so much anxiety around it, even though it's amazing technology. And I think all of us are leaning into it. So can you kind of just talk about, just that part, the fear that everybody has of the unknown with AI?
Yeah, so grateful to be here with y'all, for real. Appreciate y'all. I think I think the fear is what happens when there is great change upon any type of time in history. Right. There's always some type of fear when there's major change. Right. AI, I've been studying AI for the past, decade, and I kind of been predicting, like, listen, this is going to basically shake up a lot of things. And so as it has progressed, a lot of people really don't understand. Like, at first it was like, oh, it's just ChatGPT. You could just chat and you could just say, hey, but now we're going into the agentic AI phase, which agentic AI means that AI is going to actually be able to think, is going to be able to process things, going to be able to take action. As you're seeing, it's not just going to be like you prompt something and you say, hey, give me an email, right? Or write this for me. Now you're going to say, hey, is going to understand you, and it's going to say, you're going to say, hey, reply to this part, this person for this show. And then it's going to actually do it. And we're not talking about 2 or 3 years out. We're talking about the next 6 months. And it's happening now that we're able to do that. So I think the fear is real. I think that what I tell people is you just have to be able to get the skills and the necessary, like the necessary thought patterns to say, okay, how can I use this to my advantage like any other industry?
Justin, I'm concerned. What you just told me makes it even more concerned. I
don't think I made it better. I don't think I made it better.
No, you didn't. You didn't. Now, I know that you are what they call a technologist and a futurist, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I want to just ask you when it comes to, we obviously, the Reprint is this is our digital podcast version of our magazine, which is Lenox and Parker. So when you think about creatives, I know I'm a creative. I'm a writer and have always been. Victor's creative with graphic design and artwork and amazing. What does that mean for those of us that you're saying the AI is going to be able to just think, and it sounds like create? So how does that, where does that put?
Yeah, please tell us.
So there's a, I think it's just the way the perspective that people have on it, right? Some people, they're going to fear it. Others, I think people are going to be forced to really level up their skill sets in a sense, right? Or basically adapt their business model, right? Because things are going to change. It's not when, it's not if, it's when, right? And that time is coming fast. So I think what we have to do, and I talk about this, I tell clients this because a lot of my clients are also very concerned. And I say, listen, we heard this say, I don't know if you guys heard this saying, but it says AI won't take over. It's the people that are using AI that will control the industry, right? And so think about that for a moment. But let's go. I always take that a level deeper. I say, how about this? Instead of just saying general, leaving it to general AI, how about this? How about we say the people who are using AI to create the next technology is who is going to win? So here's what I tell people. You need to be creating technology to your business. If you are a creator, you should not have technology, because technology is like, remember the Jetsons, right? Everybody, we all grew up on the Jetsons. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Jetsons. We all thought, like, when we was watching the Jetsons, we didn't know that Rosie was about to become real. We didn't know Rosie was actually going to be a robot in the next year you could buy. We didn't know that flying cars, like taxis, like there was just a deal that Uber just did where they're about to start doing flying taxis services, right? So that's actually 6 months. That's a deal that they just closed. So I can keep going on and on and on. So I believe that if you are a creator watching this and you are leaving your business to either just being a service provider, just, a coach or whatever it is you do, and you don't have a piece of technology attached to your business, you're going to lose a lot of wealth. Unfortunately, you're going to really, you're going to be at a disadvantage if you don't do it.
I have one more question, and I'm gonna turn it over to Victor because he has the technical and probably scientific questions. I have the fear questions. My mother is 76 years old, right? And I deal with a lot of people that are dealing with their parents, and I know that we've seen technology, specifically AI technology, that's able to mimic to the sound. Is even with artists, you can hear a song and you sound, is that K Michelle? Is that the AI? So when you're talking about people's parents and people hearing voices and things being used to manipulate and to scam, really, just to create scams and things that are dishonest in business, how can we protect ourselves, from that? Because we were talking to a group of women that were talking about a technology conversation. If my mother gets a phone call from a voice that sounds like my daughter, her granddaughter, and that voice asks her to send money, my mom's going to send the money. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to figure out, how can we protect ourselves from what we know is coming? Because we know that I was saying the other day when we were planning to speak with you, I was watching a video and the voice sounded like Denzel Washington. Now, the longer I listened, I was like, some inflections were different, so I figured out that it was. But I'm also very knowledgeable about the fact that this is coming. For someone like my mother or my aunts, they would not know. So how can we start to try to protect our families and people that we're working with in business from situations that could involve technology and AI?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that you're not going to stop people from scamming. Scammers are always going to scam, and they're going to find the next scam, and they're going to evolve their scam to try to be the best scammers on the planet. Okay, so you're not going to avoid that. What I would tell people, and this is why I always speak to the fear of people, and I say, look, fear is real, fear is consistent, fear is understandable, but we have to get to a place where we have to subside fear and put it to the side to be able to take on learning and education, like really focused. So like, for example, I'm educating my family and we have to be able to learn these skills, learn what AI is, learn what it's capable of doing. And then we have to be able to tell and be able to speak honest, like with my mother the other day, we were in conversation and she was kind of talking about the same thing. She said, I know you're like a speaker and you go all over the world and speak. And she's like, I want to ask you something. And my mom usually don't ask these questions, right? So she's like, what is this like? I know you always talking about AI. And I remember you were talking about it years ago. She was like, what should I educate myself on? I was really kind of like surprised she was asking. And I was like, she's like, I just see it everywhere. And I said, listen, Mom, and she said this, she said, I'm not techie. And in the midst of her saying that, I said, I want you to stop saying that. And that was one of the things. See, when we catch people, we have to be able, not call them out, but I said, Mom, stop saying you're not techie. Because you are techie. You sent me a Zelle the other day. Stop.
That's
okay?
True.
Stop saying that. You may not be as techie as your son who owns a technology company with developers, right, but let's just say you are techie. And when you stop somebody from doing that, you allow for them to take in this information and everything that we're going through now.
Knowledge is power. That's right. Yeah, it is power. And with that being said, I mean, who should we hold accountable for the harm that technology is doing? Should it be the person who's building technology? Should it be the business or the user? Who would you say should take that responsibility when something goes wrong with a platform or from a platform? Because we see Facebook right now getting sued for I think $300 or $400 million from Mexico because of user issues. What do you think about that?
I think that there's a responsibility that these companies will try to push every single law past whatever they're going to push every limit that they can, right? And I think that's why it's important that we start to create technology that shapes the future with AI instead of letting other companies do it. Because other companies can't tell our story. Right. I like to say this, like, the biggest thing with AI is just a software that is basically fed a lot of data, right? And here's the thing, we can actually program that data to where it can sound like us, it can talk like us now, right? And we can be able to create pieces of technology that do that. Now, these companies, though, just so you know, we all know that majority of companies, I'm not going to say all companies, but majority of companies, their bottom line is what? Profit to their shareholders. Right. Sometimes that profit comes at a cost of ethics. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of times.
A lot of times it comes without ethics. So what's ethical to you and me, it's not ethical to Facebook. It's not ethical to Amazon. It's not ethical to them. So they get it. And I think they kind of thrive off of that. Like for them, they kind of make enough profit to say, well, if we get a lawsuit for $100 million, that's chump change to some of these companies, right? They know it's coming. And there's a lot of so I think that we have to be responsible to really govern ourselves and create our own technology to make sure that it's being governed the right way.
Can I just ask real quickly, Victor, and I'm going to pass it back to you. Because we talked about the fact that Mark Zuckerberg is creating AI technology to run Meta. What is about to happen? What does that mean? And what is that? Because most of us are I mean, a big part of how we promote, how we run our businesses are connected very, very closely to Meta. A lot of people are doing advertising and things on that. Their business identity, a lot of people's business identity is connected to their social media platforms. What do you think, if anything? Is there concern with this being done to kind of, does that mean that there could be changing in the structure, or just what do you think that means for consumers of the product?
Are you referencing when Mark Zuckerberg was saying he's creating an agent for himself?
Yes.
Or?
Yeah.
Okay, I saw that. Yeah, I think that a lot of people don't know, like, we're entering into the like I said, the AI agentic age. And so what it means is that AI is taking on, so I always talk about this, like, we're kind of like, this is kind of ease the fear. I mean, sometimes it does, sometimes it does, but depending on how you look at it. Well, this is I tell people this all the time. This is one of the greatest times in history if you change your lens, because there's like 5 industries that are emerging right now. Because we always talk about AI, but a lot of people don't talk about the other industries that's coming, right? So one is agentic AI. This is AI that's going to think, process, know how to do most tasks that are computer based. Let's just say computer based. But now the second industry is converging with that. That is the robotic industry. Case in point, I sold everything about 2 years ago, and I literally booked a one-way flight to Africa, Nairobi, Kenya, right? I spent about 2 years through South Africa, just traveling the world, right? When I came back, I'm based in Atlanta. When I came back to Atlanta, there was things here that did not exist before. There was a Waymo car that I got in that literally had driverless car. There was robots walking, like literally rolling down the street, delivering stuff. That is the surface. Like, in the next 5 years, it is predicted. Elon Musk predicted this, and because he's actually building a robot company. Tesla is actually about to move into becoming a robotic company. He predicted that in the next 3 to 5 years, there's going to be more robots than humans. Right. And I know that scares a lot of people, right? I know,
I'm not scared. I see it. I see it, because you think about like appliances. Robots doesn't necessarily mean walking around talking. It just means everyday usage of appliances in your car. The technology is going to be all around us. Yeah.
It's just about to increase. So you have if you combine agentic AI and robots, I mean, now we have robots that can think, process, take action on things. They can do that. Now, that does create a level of warning, but I also tell people you need to learn it so that you can also be adaptable to the future, because again, you're not going to stop it. A case in point, I always tell, like, this is going to be a little bit more drastic than this, but it's natural what people are going through. In the 80s, I don't know if you guys remember this, but in the 80s, calculators were just coming out, right? These like high power. Do y'all remember the calculator? Like in the 80s, right? These high powered calculators were coming out, right? Now, my sister is a little bit older than me. I was born in the 80s. My sister's a little bit older than me. And I remember she was asking my mom about, like, how these new things they calculate. And my mom was like, they're going to replace teachers. And they were just like going crazy, right? They were like, they're going to replace teachers. And oh my, people will start picketing. People don't remember this, right?
Because I remember it. Yeah.
I don't remember that. I do remember thinking that it would allow you to cheat, because it was like you had to have that. If you took like algebra 3, you had to have that calculator.
It was banned in some classes. It was banned in some schools.
It was laws coming up. It was people picketing. I don't think people realize, because now none of that happened. It was crazy. Teachers were outside picketing. What is the calculator going to do to the industry? They were going crazy, right? Here's what happened.
Nothing.
Calculators became an everyday part of life.
Yeah.
They didn't replace teachers 100%, right? They replaced the ones who probably quit, right? Because there were some people who probably quit too, because they thought, they're not stopping this. This is like, they're going to cheat, all these things. So there were fears there. Now, here's what happened. The same thing, even though AI is a little bit levels to that, I still feel the same is going to happen. AI is going to become a part of our everyday life as it is. People will adapt. They will suck it up. They will. Well, they have to suck it up. And then there's going to be new industries for the people the stuff that AI. I don't think people are ready for it. I'll say this. I don't think people are ready to come out of the current comfort kind of box way that they're in, right? Because there's just new industries that are about to be birthed as a result of what's happening.
So as you say that, we got the news this morning that OpenAI was pulling the plug on Sora video app, right? And that affected Disney because they were supposed to have a deal with Disney or whatever the case was. So it feels like they're taking a step back. Why is that? Why do you think they're taking a step back from it? Was it, you think it's because of money? I know they lost money, but we're supposed to be advancing to the next level of agents and whatever the case is. So
here's what I believe is studying Claude and also OpenAI.
Yeah.
So remember, like ChatGPT and OpenAI used to be the only kid on the block. They had a monopoly. They had a Microsoft deal. And then here's what happened. Nobody really knew what Claude was or Anthropic. They didn't know what it was. Only the people who in the know, like me, who've been using it since their inception. Here's what happened. Anthropic started gaining market share. And they started catching up to them. And so then that forced ChatGPT and OpenAI to level up, right? And so here's what's happening. I believe that it's a reshift. I don't believe it's a step back. I believe that they're reshifting. So even though, it's $1 billion in investments, I believe that they're sort of reshifting their focus. And what they're doing is they're putting more of their resources into what Anthropic is doing, which was smart, which is Anthropic is focusing more on coding tools. And if you notice this, Claude and Anthropic don't even have a video tool. They don't care because they realize that that's not the focus. It's cool to create videos, but where the profit, this is just a guesstimate, but it's backed by, some data, right? What it is like, you got to understand the tech industry, especially the coding industry, is a $10 trillion industry, right? In opposed to making videos, which one would you go with, right? So I think OpenAI is kind of shifting their focus to be more focused on the stuff that Anthropic, because that's why they're losing market share, right? They're focusing more on coding tools and changing that industry. They're focusing more on business oriented stuff because ChatGPT is just you're not gonna be able to compete with an Anthropic that very soon is going to be able to do all type of business stuff, automation stuff, and also coding stuff.
So where's Grok in all of this? I know Grok does a lot of different Grok. You put the video, a picture in, it makes it move and all this other stuff like that. It makes and so you have Grok, you have ChatGPT, and then you have Claude. So I know the 3 different platforms, but I think Claude is winning right now.
Claude is winning. Claude, and remember, this changed in literally. This has changed in probably 6 months, right? That's how fast the AI wars changed, right? But if you were to and this is all data, Grok is fairly comparable to, in terms of performance base, is comparable to Anthropic and OpenAI, right? The thing is just that, again, it's just a war. I mean, but a lot of people use Grok. Grok is very amazing. I use it from time to time. I just think that Anthropic just in the last 6 months has really just gained a lot of the market share. I mean, and they don't have to depend on anybody. They're not in the shadows anymore. I mean, 6 months ago to a year, they weren't mainstream. And then when they did that, you guys saw that Super Bowl campaign that they did. That's what kind of burst them into the spotlight, right? I don't know if you guys saw that, but when they took shots at OpenAI, that let you know who the big kid who the big dog was on the block, right? They wouldn't have said, listen, we not about to. So literally what I believe what happened is that OpenAI has been sort of like I say, they were the fresh kids on the block. But when they started putting profit over people, what ended up happening, they were coming out with an advertising platform, right? I don't think they're going to go down that path. as much as people think. So yeah, it's just a lot of changes. They just got to catch up now to Anthropic because they've definitely taken over the market.
I want to ask you, Edna, one of our loyal subscribers, has a question. Well, comment. She said, "I'm concerned about intellectual property legally and copyrights," and I am too. You know, as a writer, I've got several movie projects I'm working on and things like that. So, how do you see that kind of fitting into that picture, Justin?
It's going to be a little bit more challenging as it comes to copyrights and those type of things. It's best to that still doesn't change the law, right? So I was actually just teaching a class to my students the other day, and I was telling everybody, like, just take extra steps to protect yourself. Like, for example, you already know, like, work is usually when you create any type of technology, writing is copyrighted, but go a step further, like copyright it even more. I think it costs like $60 to go to like copyright.org to basically have your work copyrighted. Like, start taking those steps, do trademarking, still follow those procedures, but just understand, like, we are leaving the information age, and so information is going to be crazily abundant as it is now, and it's only going to become even more abundant. So that's why I was saying you have to create things outside of things like books, and those things will all still be around, but writings, those things, that's not going to be like the main prize anymore. I don't think that's going to be the asset. It used to be a decade ago. The assets were books. It was your writings. And listen, I know everybody wants to cry. They want to cry because listen,
I mean, writers. Yes, I'm a writer, so that is very unsettling. And then that's like, for those of us that is. I mean, that's been what, like, my identity, career identity, and even personal. You know, writing is a big, from poetry to books to screenplays and things like that. So, what would be the next step of that? So if you were saying, how would you, if you are a writer, or if you are an actor, if you are, a musician, like, how do you use technology, to specifically AI, to your benefit, to where you're still able to, have your specialty, but make it fit, I guess, use the technology to advance it. What advice would you give to those of us doing that?
Yeah, definitely. So about a year and a half ago, I run a company called Maestro and also Apps Built with AI. So Maestro is like a video membership platform. Creators can host their digital content on there and sell it. About a year and a half ago, I started really going deep on AI. I'm talking about like nerdy deep. I'm talking about like setting up, trying to push its limits, right? And I ended up coding an entire platform without a developer. Now, I'll give you some context. I've had about 6 or 7 developers who work for our team. So when I showed them, they were like, "Justin, who worked on this?" And I was like, "This entire platform was built with AI." And I didn't even include any type of it was a book writing software, right? Since you're a writer, you'll appreciate this. It's a book writing software. So I coded up that entire platform, right? And so I was able to sell it and get hundreds of customers on that platform. And I say that because what I think that people's focus should be is, remember I was saying, like, Claude they're putting a lot of their resources towards coding tools. These coding tools are only going to get better. In the next, I was watching an interview with the CEO of Reprint. I don't know if you guys have heard of Reprint. It's a coding tool that automatically creates platforms. So here's what happened. The guy from Reprint said this. He said, the guy asked him a question. He said, "What do you see, like, the future of your platform?" And he says, "Listen, in the next year or so, this is the battle that we're battling. Anybody, like, coding is going to be as easy as you literally buying a cup of coffee. Even your mother is going to be able to say, build me a website that does this." And instead of it, like, now what you have to do is really be specific. You have to say, do this, put this in here. You have to prompt it, right?
Yeah.
I will venture to say my prediction as a future is in the next 6 months to 12 months, AI agents are going to know who you are. They're going to learn your style. Every time you prompt it, you're going to say, build me a website. It's going to basically do all the work for you. It's going to connect all the databases, your domains. You're not going to have to go through any technical issues whatsoever. It's going to do all the work on the back end. So to answer your question, I think that every person, and also run a community called the Apps Built with AI community, where people are building apps like mobile apps, web apps. I think that every person is and I'm not going to say it's super easy, but I will say that anybody who is listening should be thinking about creating their own piece of technology, like their own mobile app, their own web application, because technology companies are still the #1 industry in the world. And the barrier to entry used to be, I got to be super technical. I got to have $50,000 to hire a developer. Those barriers to entries are completely gone now. So that's where I think people's focus should be.
I have a question about the future, right? I know we talked about in the past, like there was web 1.0, 2.0, and we're supposed to be in 3.0 right now. Where do you see us going? Or when do you think that will be 3.0? Because I know 2.0 is, YouTube and Google and Instagram, and 3.0 is supposed to be our own communities and our own platforms and our own IPO, right? So our own IP. When do you think that's going to happen? Because I know there was a pause. Like Facebook had the Meta glasses, and everyone's getting into the VR stuff, and it seemed to shift from NFTs and VRs. They took a pause on that, and AI took over. And so I'm trying to figure out when that will come about. When do you think?
So I think that so here's what happened. Web 3.0 was basically decentralized tech, was supposed to be decentralized technology.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be obviously on the blockchain. It was supposed to be blockchain technology where me and you were able to transact that. I believe that a lot of what ended up happening was AI caught so much rapid, fast adoption. It wasn't supposed to be as fast as it was. And I think that what ended up happening is the adoption, because any industry can only change to the adoption that it takes everywhere. Corporations,
correct,
regular people. So now, you have, like I said, my almost 70-year-old mother talking about AI, right? And so adoption has, I think, outweighed digital currency, digital blockchain, those type of things. And so now, like I said, also AI has sped up in terms of its advancement of the technology. So now, instead of Web 3.0, we're in the AI agentic age, which, like I said, AI is that's more important, right? That's to me, like, I think a lot of people don't understand like how complicated work-life balance can be, right? And so imagine you having AI who can answer your emails like you at times, right? It can build workflows for you. You can have, I think Gary Vaynerchuk said this recently, and I agree with him. He said, we're entering into the age, and this is why I tell you there's opportunity, not fear, that's there, right? He said, we're entering to the age where we're going to see a lot of 1-person to 2-person billion-dollar companies. That's the phase we're entering into.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to need 20 employees to have a startup. It's gonna and so here's a case in point. I know this is a little longer answer, but I want to get this point across. Right, I tell people, I was telling somebody this on another podcast 2 days ago. She was like, "That all sounds so simple," and I was like, she said, "I don't think it's going to be that simple." And I challenged her a little bit. I said, "Listen, what is simple? The definition of simple means clarity." I said, "Did you know that? That's like definition of simple means clarity." So for me, like you guys, you're amazing at this. You have episodes. I don't do a lot of. I'd be interviewed a lot, but you have a certain thing that you can make this simple. If I ask you, here's how to run a show, here's how to do this, break it. You're gonna break it down to me with things I didn't know, right? So I think that we have to release. This is the biggest thing I've been advising people: release this idea of everything has to be so hard. You deserve to enter into simplicity where things can be. So I know that's a new thought pattern for people, right? But this is what you got to embrace in the AI age. there are going to be things that used to be hard that are now going to be simple, and you have to embrace that.
I love the idea of that. I love the idea of
Only
that.
that. Look, she said only that.
Just that
But I
part, the easy
wonder,
part.
I
That
guess I
part sounds
wonder
great.
that no, that does sound great. But I would just wonder, and I know we can't get into all this now. I definitely want to see what I would love to do, Jess.
God
I'm just
bringing
gonna
you back.
put it out there is just if you could maybe come join us with some tips for some tech tips for us, maybe once a month or twice a month for our viewers, because there are questions. People have a lot of questions that we won't
I
get to
know.
today. But I guess when I hear that, when I hear a $1 to $2 billion company or $1 million company with 1 or 2 people working it, I'm just thinking of jobs, right? So where are all these jobs going to go? What's going to happen to all these people that will no longer have jobs when you take away when you offer the clarity and the solution by machines and automation, you do take away the labor, right? There's no labor. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I do not have an assistant and don't want to hire an assistant again because my AI does all my assistant issues.
Yep.
Like, and is a lot, does not call out, does not have some of the issues, is quick, is proficient, but that is a job that is gone. And I think that's on a very low scale, but we're talking about friends that work for companies like Pepsi and Enterprise, and a lot of their jobs are being replaced by machines. So I just wonder, how are we gonna? Not that that's a tech question, but do you think there's going to be a significant impact on unemployment because of this? And so many people are not technologically advanced. Like I said, my friend that works for Pepsi, he's not into technology and AI. So those jobs can potentially be gone, from a robot that's efficient, that's able to do all of that. So that's the first thing that I think. Yes, simplicity for me would be great. But then I wonder, like, as far as like the things that I get paid for, can they be phased out with technology, and where does that leave the rest of us?
So I'll answer it like this: every position can be phased out with AI. That's why I love what I do, because I'm here as more of an advisor to people to say, get prepared. Like imagine if just for a second, right? I want people to think about this. Imagine like, let's just say when there were like horses and buggies in that era, and it was like everybody did everything by hand. If you built the table, you built it by hand. If you built anything, you built it with your our ancestors built most of those things with their bare hands. And then what ended up happening was the whole new age came in. It was like the beginning of the technology age, where they figured out cars and planes and machines. It was the machine. I call it the machine age, not autonomous machines, but just the machine age, right? And I think that here's what happened. We all adapted. We all got used to it. Like I talked about, there were new industries, new jobs that were created. Do you think that back in the day they were even talking about assistants, the average person? No, right?
No.
Do you think they were talking about, like those people, like we go into different ages. And I think what a lot of people are fearing is that we're leaving one age behind and entering into a new one.
I'm ready for it.
New one is like I tell people all the time, the future isn't out there.
It's next week.
It's here.
Yeah.
So what you have to do, if you're listening to this as a creator or whatever it is, I want you to just get this idea. And I know this is going to be hard to hear, but you need to hear it. All right. Here it is. All right. I tell people the truth. I tell those who are wrong. Everybody will be forced to be their own entrepreneur, to be an entrepreneur.
I love it.
Shouts out to Dame Dash.
So listen, I don't care if you're the janitor. I don't care what it is that you do. And here's what that means. That means that you need to start now and not wait until your company lays you off when they decide that you are not of value to them anymore. I've been even telling my family this. Y'all know family don't listen, y'all. But listen, I've been telling my family this. Listen, this is why I started 15 years ago, because I saw this age coming 15 years ago. And I tell everyone, get prepared. Learn how to create your own table. It's scary, I get it, but you're gonna adapt. Everything is gonna be fine. Everything is gonna work itself out. New industries are gonna be created. everything is going to be okay. Not initially. Before the light, darkness always comes, right? But everything is going to be okay. I promise. If you start now. If you start now.
I love it.
Justin, let people know where they can find more about your company and where they can support you. First of all, I just love the fact that you're in this space. To me, that is reassuring, because I think one of the issues there often is a disconnect with our community when it comes to technology. So when we see so many of us in that space, that makes me feel safer, because I do know I've done studies on the fact that there's so many in our community that are not ready for this. So when we see others that are, we can each one teach one and help, pull others up. You guys, I am so sorry. My Rottweiler is not ever going to be here when I do a podcast again. Shadow, I'm so sorry. But I think that's a big thing with our community. So I want to make sure that we promote your business and let people know where they can find out more about what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. And that's actually my vision, right? Is for our community to embrace technology instead of fearing it, right? Because if we're able to embrace it, we're also able to create the future. And if anybody's listening to this, the last thing I'll say is, like, if anybody listening to this, like, there are listen, I just want to say this so y'all see it in my energy, right? There is so much opportunity in the world that me and you can resolve with the opportunities with AI we have. So don't sit on the sidelines and wait for this stuff to happen. Go build it. I tell my whole community, go and build. Like, go build something. There's so amazing things. So you can find me easy CEO Justin Burns on Instagram. That's CEO Justin Burns. If you want to find out, there's 2 sites. You can actually go to Justin Burns, like Simpsons, BURNS, Justin Burns official.com. And also we have a community where I've also proactively, because for so many years people were asking me about Maestro, how I built Maestro, Studio Book, all these platforms. So we started a community called the Apps Built with AI community. Mostly our community is there because I love teaching them about how to build their own technology platform. So we host summits every month, which is appsbuiltwithai.com. You can find out more, where we actually host summits to actually teach how to actually launch your own technology platform. So I'm excited about
it. Yeah, I commend you. And like I said, we definitely look forward to supporting you here at Lenox and Parker, because it's really important. I know we have that link is in the chat, and we'll link it in the description of this show when it goes up. We always do a quote, an inspirational quote of the day.
Hold on 1 second. One second. Sorry, Crystal. 1 second. Justin, where can they find you in Atlanta? Is there any local events you have going on that people can find you in Atlanta?
No, not in Atlanta. I'm behind the computer guy. So, but I'm always speaking. I'm always speaking, hosting events. We do live events from time to time. We got one coming up in June in Atlanta called the Apps Built with AI Summit that we usually host. So if they just follow me, I'll usually announce it, stuff like that.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Crystal, go ahead.
No worries. I think he was saying that you could look on that Apps Built with AI for their summits and things like that if you want to connect with them. Inspirational quote for today fits right in with what Justin is saying. Our quote is from Snap Yourself into a New Reality. And it says, goal achievement is, different one. Worst case scenario is rarely true, but it's where the mind goes first unless you train it otherwise. That also definitely works with today's conversation. Worst case scenario. So me thinking that the AI is going to take over and harm us is rarely true. It's always where the mind goes first, but we can learn to train it otherwise. And that's why Justin is here and sharing that with us. So you guys, please make sure that you visit Apps Built with AI. And like I said, hopefully we can have Justin submit us some tips, maybe on a monthly basis, so we can make sure that we are learning and not just operating in emotional fear based on what we're seeing in different places. So thank you so much for being here today, Justin. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. Much love to you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. Well, we definitely will be reaching out and seeing if we can get you to help our community moving forward.
Yeah, love to. One of my passions, man, is education outside of school is so powerful. So definitely love to come on and provide some tips.
Awesome. Thanks for coming.
All right. We will see him next time. And definitely we'll have more on Lenox and Parker the site about what Justin has going on. So you guys make sure that you stay tuned. And if you want to learn more, you can go to the site. Okay. All right. I am not, you know what, Edna, we will put up all that information about the YouTube channel and all that. We've got to get out of here now, but we thank you guys for joining us today. It was a really, really good day here on the Reprint. And make sure if you're following this channel, you tune in tonight for a very funny episode of Dating Diaries with Scorpio Mo and I. We definitely are going to try to have
Scorpio Mo.
Try to get Justin to be our technology contributor. But we'll see how that goes. But thank you guys for hanging out with us today here on the Reprint. We love you for watching, and we'll be back on Friday with Jamal Burke, our sports analyst. We'll see you then.